Hangout is live on the air. Let's just make sure it's playing. Give it a second. And we're live. What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and I'm here with AJPUNK15. And what's going up, Legendary Goji? And we just saw the Halloween remake. Or not remake, the sequel, reboot sequel, whatever you want to call it. Halloween 2018. Soft reboot. It's the return of Godzilla, of the franchise. And this mask is sounding very muffled, so it's probably going to take it off. But I definitely wanted to start with, the good old fashioned Michael Myers mask. So, okay.
Yeah, H6, right?
Yeah, it's the Halloween 6 mask. Probably the worst Halloween movie, or up there for sure for me. One of the top 3 worst ones. It's this, 5.
Really?
No, the worst ones for me are like 6, 5, and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 are like my 3 least favorite of the franchise. How's it going, Legendary Goji? Good to see you in the chat. So, but yes, Halloween 2018. It's finally here after trying to review all those movies. The time has come. And joining me today is my special guest, AJPUNK15. Let's go ahead and say hi.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, it's good. It's good because we've been wanting to do a live stream together for the longest time, and finally we're here.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I don't think we've never done a live stream, but we've obviously done videos, collabs together. Like I've been in a few years, and I think you've been. Well, we did Epic Horror Fan stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's where we met.
Yeah, that's where we met and stuff. But yeah, anyways, he is a huge Halloween fan. He's probably the biggest Halloween fan I know. I mean, you have so many Halloween movies, posters, masks. You've got just about everything Halloween related.
Yeah, I think I own 41 copies so far of Halloween, like the series itself on DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, 4K.
Good God Almighty! So he is the Halloween expert, and I think you've got comics in that too, right?
Yeah, I got Night Dance and H2 comics. I don't know, toys, figures, masks. I almost have every single one of the toys out. I'm missing like 3.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But anyways, how's it going, Grimacing Gojira? Sorry, Legendary Goji. Don't worry, KPF. I'm sure we'll record with you soon. So, but yeah, so Halloween 2018. This is another one of those like another timeline in this franchise. This is what like timeline 4 or 5 because if you count like Halloween 3 is its own thing, Halloween 1, 2, and then like H2O. That's another one. Halloween 1, 2, and then the Thorn Trilogy, and then Halloween 1, 2, Thorn Trilogy Producer's Cut, and then this one. There's too many timelines in the Halloween franchise. There's no consistent one. I think that's the thing I love about the Elm Street one is it's the most consistent, it feels like, of the big 3. Like, because Friday the 13th kind of does like a reboot thing. I don't know. It's weird. But, yeah, so Halloween 2018 sees the return of Jamie Lee Curtis. This one was directed by David Gordon Green, and it was also co-written by Danny McBride and Jeff Bradley. I'm not sure who that guy is. But yeah, this movie it got a good response so far. It's making bank. It's going to break the record for biggest October opening of all time. And it could potentially reach $100 million by the end of the weekend, which would be absolutely insane to think of a Halloween film doing this good amount of money. It's going to make more than the entire like Rob Zombie series in one weekend.
I really hope so.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I did my review on him. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween, I'm mixed to positive on that one. I think there's some good elements towards that film. But the second one, no.
Yeah, the Rob Zombie's first remake kind of got a soft spot for me because it's the first one I've seen in theater. So going in, I was like, what, 2007, so 15, 16? So going into it, I was pretty excited. I've seen some of them previous. I didn't see all of them. I seen the first one, the second one, I believe H2O going into Rob Zombies. So, like, after that, I went out and I bought them all on DVD and watched them all. And then I kind of realized, like, oh, Rob's is not that great after all. But it, it still holds a pretty near and dear kind of thing.
Yeah. So, we'll get into the overall thing. But before we start, what are your overall thoughts on the movie? Did you really like it?
I have some gripes with it. Nothing major. A lot of it is just me nitpicking, probably. Like, there's a couple scenes in it that I don't know if we're going to get into spoiler talk or not, but I really can't discuss them unless we do, kind of thing.
I think we should start out spoiler free for a little bit, then get into spoilers because this is like a long live stream. So
overall, highly enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I'm going back tomorrow to see it. The only thing is we're supposed to have some bad weather, and I have to drive like an hour on a long ass highway to go see it. So if weather's good, I'm going to go see it for the second time tomorrow, and then probably Wednesday for the third.
Okay, if I get any time, I probably will see it again next week. But I definitely like the movie. As far as sequels go, it's one of the best in the franchise. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite of the sequels. I'd have to give it some time to, breathe, maybe see it a second time, because there's things I liked about it. I thought there were some really funny bits that you didn't typically see, like intentionally funny, as opposed to unintentionally funny, like Resurrection was. Kung Fu Master Busta Rhymes here.
There was one line in this movie that like when I heard it in theater, I don't know if a lot of people picked up on it because there's a lot of casual viewers going to see the movie too. Probably know as much as me or you know about it. But there was one line. It's not really a spoiler. I'm not going to talk about the scene. Laurie kind of comes up to someone and says, "Oh, so you're the new Loomis?"
Oh yeah.
That to me was just like, this is Laurie. This is the same girl from the first film. Just she's more hardened now, so she doesn't mind cracking these one jokes like Linda or Annie would do in the first one.
Yeah,
so
like
that fit in a lot. The babysitting scene with the little kid.
Oh, that was great.
The comedy was gold in that. It just went on a little too far for me. There's a certain point where I thought they should have cut it off and got serious and let the tension build, and they didn't, and they kept going for the comedic one-liner. The one that really got me, and I like the comedy of this. I'm sure Danny McBride had his hands all over that.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is
the dialogue for the jokes and stuff. There's a line. I'm not going to say anything with the scene. Someone says "help me," and someone else says "nope," and I was like, "That wasn't needed, man."
It wasn't, but it's really funny.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. I think that scene got the biggest amount of laughter in the theater.
100%. Yeah.
Particularly with the actor and those acting in the movie. We'll get into that more in a little bit, but I like the movie. Like I said, there's some gripes that I have with it, and we'll get into that in a little bit. There's some things that kind of just get lost in the shuffle or disappear.
There's a little bit of pacing issue.
There's some definite pacing issues because sometimes we're just throwing all sorts of random characters at just random points in the movie. I'm like, wait, who are you? And then I guess there's times where it's appropriate. There's that one establishing shot you see in the second trailer where it's Michael walking around killing people. I'm like, okay, that's more appropriate for that. That was my favorite shot. That's probably my favorite part of the entire movie is when you just see that long establishing shot of just Michael Myers walking from house to house, and it's all done in one take, and it's 3 minutes long of him just going around.
The first official leaked photos of the set was actually of that scene. So I can remember that was back in January, February, I suppose, when they shot the film. I can remember seeing him just walking down the road and then turn, and you can see the camera following down that little pathway. And as far as my knowledge, it is all done in one take. I don't know if they split the take to put certain special effects in on certain points when he goes for a kill. But other than that, I'm pretty sure it's all done in one take.
Yeah, it absolutely was impressive, and it just goes that's one thing I loved about this one is Michael Myers. Absolutely, Michael Myers was done pitch perfect in this one because he's they even the first scene they established it's just there's nothing there. He is just a force of evil. He is the boogeyman. He has no seeming motivations, nothing. He just does it because he can, in essence. And I love that because there's the one, even the filmmakers that you see inside the movie, or the podcasters, I should say. I don't know why they take the microphone and don't get closer to Michael. They kind of she's kind of standing back, and the guy's just Michael, look at me. I'm just walk around and see if he reacts. That's kind of the first scene in the movie.
About the microphones they were using, could be just me, but they had nothing to protect it against the wind or the weather. Usually you get those little furry balls when you're outside, and she didn't use them. I was like, well, that's gonna be muffled. Well, that was just me being a nerd.
Yeah, I was feeling that too. I'm like, there's nothing to because the wind, like I said, I've done videos in the wind. I filmed just with a camcorder. I don't have a wind protector. But the wind definitely leaves an impact. You may not hear it, if you're just kind of staying, just an everyday normal person walking outside. But the wind, the wind picks up, on, audio. If you're just using the camera's audio. And if you don't have anything to buffer out that windy sound, then it's just going to be, it's just going to hear nothing but like loud blowing wind, and it's going to really like mess with the audio in there. So, but yes, so so the plot of this film, it's 40 years later, right on the dot. So it's basically like H2O in essence, but like it's tweaked. So H2O was Laurie 20 years later. She changed her identity. She was going out as Carrie Tate, and she had a son named John. And then Michael comes back and ignores the other sequels except 1 and 2. So she's still his brother. So there's that. And then then this one just ignores all the sequels. It's just a direct sequel to the original. It kind of reminds me a bit of Godzilla 1984 or Godzilla 85 or Return to Godzilla, where it just ignores all the sequels and it's just a direct sequel to the original. Toho's done this a bunch of times with a lot of their Godzilla films. So this wasn't too like...
They tried to do the same thing with Texas Chainsaw, I believe, in like 2013.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw 3D, where it's just like, oh, she's the baby, but it's in modern times. Like, there's no way. I mean,
40 years ago, and she's still 18. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, she looks too good for like her age. So, but yeah. So, oh yeah, I remember we did talk about Texas Chainsaw 3D. That was I kind of had a lot of fun with that one because it was really stupid. So I kind of miss. What was that?
She throws him the chainsaw at the end of the movie. She's like, "Go get him, cuz." I was just like, "Oh, I checked out at that point."
Oh, I was like, wow. Why are you trying to make Leatherface an anti-hero? He's a psychotic murderer who murders a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Go get him, cuz. Wait, what? He just killed your friends. It kind of reminds me a bit of Ghostbusters. Like, go get him, Ray. So.
Oh my.
But yeah, so this one ignores all the sequels. Jamie Lee Curtis is back as Laurie Strode. They do explain that after like Michael Myers was shot, Dr. Loomis tried to kill him some more, but like first responding officers took him in. And then, 40 years later, we have these podcasters like named Aaron and Dana, I believe their names were, and they're going to interview Michael Myers for their podcast, trying to go up into like some old time murders. And then they go to try and interview Laurie Strode, but they had to pay her first in order to get an interview. And basically Laurie's just been like, Jamie Lee Curtis does a fantastic job in this movie, like really dealing with.
Yeah. Other than the fact they really nailed Michael, like James Jude Courtney, the guy who plays him, his walk, the way he sets up at the end, towards the end of the film, his stare, the way he presents himself as Myers when he kills people and stuff. Other than that, Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis nails her part. 100%.
Oh, this may be like her best performance. Like this in H2O, because H2O I thought she was really good in, especially like towards the ending. I did find the ending to H2O a little more satisfying than this one. Obviously, like we know Resurrection came afterwards, but like I think the third act of H2O was just like an adrenaline rush, where this one was kind of a bit slower paced. But yeah, so Laurie's been a recluse. She's kind of like she was traumatized from the events of the first movie. Now, she was an H2O, but this time they've taken it a lot further to where she basically, like, she's been divorced a few times. Her daughter got taken away from her. She tries to see her granddaughter, but this whole thing from 40 years ago has put such a toll on her. And, it's made her into kind of a hardened warrior, but also a bit of a recluse, to where she's pushed her family away. There's been this 40-year obsession, and there's something really powerful about that. Like, you just really feel the emotions that Laurie's going through, or just like, you see her, sometimes she'll be like drinking. Then you see her when she like went to go try and like kill Michael, like when he was being transferred. Obviously that leads to the bus crash, which we'll get into that there's a bit of a twist in this movie.
Back in the truck at one point, and she's just like down in hard liquor as fast as she can. Obviously she wants to be drunk and make sure he's behind bars and stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, like that stuff was great, and she has like this her own little like security system.
Oh, sorry, wait now.
Oh, all right. Oh, all right. So, anyways, but yeah, she has her own little like security system, and that like she has like her own. Oh, I guess AJ Punk left for a second. I'll take care. I'll take over. But yeah, so Laurie has her own little security system. She has kind of like this, these little traps set up throughout her house. She's got all sorts of weapons, and she's just watching things like a hawk. She's just keeping an eye on what Michael Myers is doing. And then eventually, 40 years have passed. Michael Myers escapes, kills some people, gets the outfit back, starts stalking and killing people again. And, he's basically after Lori, and it comes to like a final confrontation type deal. So that's in essence the movie, which you've seen by the trailers. And like I said, there's some great stuff in here. The comedy a lot of the times works. There's some callbacks to the original film with like her granddaughter like looking out the window, and just like when Lori would see her in school, it'd be like her seeing Lori instead. Like that got a big laugh out of the theater.
That's pretty cool. A lot of people didn't pick up on it actually.
Yeah, that's true. Like but it is funny. But then like if you've seen the movie, like look at it and you're just like, oh, that's it's a nice little nod to the original. Like I said, this is a funny movie. There's some lines where there's this one little kid in the movie, like he's a real scene stealer. Like he was
Julian, right?
I think that was his name.
I think so.
But yeah, this little kid was such a scene stealer. He was very, very funny. Yeah, he was the boy being babysitted. Yeah, there's some genuinely like really funny stuff, and like that's all Danny McBride. Definitely all Danny McBride. And other positives, John Carpenter's score.
Brilliant. Yeah, he definitely modernized it. I gotta say, like there's certain points in this film where like even when the pacing was like a little slow at times, his score would kick in, and you'd get this like Lori was driving around at one point, and this like very heavy guitar kind of key type score would play, and it was you're kind of mesmerized at what's happening on screen, but at the same time you're like trying to listen to the score and realize like, hey, this is pretty freaking good.
Oh, the score is excellent. It's like, I mean, I was so satisfying to hear like good old fashioned John Carpenter music on the big screen. I haven't heard it in a long time because Carpenter, he's a talented director, but I feel like his music is one of his most talented aspects. Like it's just so good. Like you compare like Halloween, The Thing, The Fog, all sorts of like fantastic like musical scores that he's done. Like that synthesizer, like even Halloween 3, like it may not be my favorite movie, but by God,
score in Halloween 3 is brilliant too, man.
The score is brilliant. Like you can't deny how good that score is for Halloween 3. So yeah, I think we've covered in essence things. Like, do want to get into spoilers in a second, but like one last thing for those of you who haven't seen it and don't want to necessarily be spoiled. There is some issues with the film, like AJ Punk was saying. There's some pacing issues for sure, some tonal shifts that don't quite work. Some characters just kind of just pop up, and we're like, who are you?
A lot of the sub characters or subpar characters that weren't fleshed out enough. They just kind of come here and there, and like Allison has a boyfriend in the movie, and it's just like, oh, it's a little cool nod to who his dad is. It's kind of cool.
Which one? Other than
that, do you? I don't know if you picked up on it or not, but when they were at the dinner, they were talking about her boyfriend's dad and how he sold him peyote and all this stuff. Do you know who his dad is, or
no?
He's Lonnie from the original film. He's a little kid that goes up to the door, and Loomis is like, "Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there."
Oh no, I didn't pick up on that.
He's the one that picked on Tommy Doyle and made him break his pumpkin.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that was Allison's boyfriend's father.
Oh, fucking Lonnie.
Yeah.
No, that's a nice thing to pick up on. I didn't catch that. Like I said, there's a lot of nods in there that I didn't know. There's some cool nods, like the silver shamrock masks. I love that little nod. But yeah, in terms of the boyfriend thing, like it just kind of gets dropped like at some point in the movie and just is never brought up again.
Yeah, it's not even like midway through. It's like I would say still in the first act of the film, and it gets dropped.
Yeah, it just goes nowhere. Didn't this movie go through some reshoots though?
Yeah, the whole ending I'm pretty sure is reshot because if you look at the trailers, there's a big final showdown with like Allison, Karen, and Lori and Michael outside with the big searchlights and stuff shining on them and stuff. That isn't in the final cut of the film. There's a couple shots of Michael like walking and stuff like that aren't in the final like editing of the film either.
Okay. Yeah, so it makes me wonder if that thing with the boyfriend was part of the reshoots as well, and maybe that just kind of, or that got like entirely cut for time. So, because this was a quick movie.
That he didn't test well. That's what I'm thinking. Like when they tested the film a couple times, I think some people probably said like, "All right, let's get less of him and throw something in there to cut him out right quick." And I think that leads to the phone and the pudding kind of thing, just to get him out of the way.
Yeah, that's probably the reason because it seemed like he was being set up for something. Maybe he was going to get killed later on in the film, but he just
That's
up
what I
and
was thinking.
vanishes.
Never happened. Some stuff I was expecting to happen didn't happen, and other things I was expecting to happen did. Like I've seen a lot of people online complain that a lot of the kills are off screen.
Hmm. Well, some
But I
are
mean,
intentionally done like that for a
yeah,
reason.
that whole long shoot. How can you expect him to put a hammer in the back of someone's head and not, obviously when he went in, they had the missus walk past. They did her up in makeup. I think that's where I know it's probably done in one take. But if I was gonna cut it, I'd cut it when he walks in to kill missus and then comes back, grabs the knife, turns. I think there might have been a cut there just so they could put the special effects on her
Hmm.
when she's on, busted head with a hammer in the back.
Or it could have
That's the
been a
only thing
stunt
I can think.
double in her place.
That's what I was thinking too. Like maybe it was a stunt double or something like that. But I don't know. When I go back to see it again for the second time, I'm going to pay close attention just to see if it is a cut or not. But other than that, there's definitely no cuts in that scene.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was. That's the thing I do appreciate. Like David Gordon Green, like he is a more talented director than some of the other directors in the Halloween
mm-hmm,
franchise. Like so, like he can get those shots done. Obviously, they got like modern stuff versus
mm-hmm.
like you wouldn't see a shot like that in like Halloween 5 or 6 or any of that. But like he definitely like they put the work into that shot and it looks great. It's my favorite part of the whole movie because it just goes to show what a mindless like killer Michael Myers is, just like a force of nature.
Yeah, I will say that as far as camera work go, that was pretty good. But he definitely used a lot of handheld in this one. Not like
Hmm.
handheld per se, but like a lot of some of the shots on certain characters talking and stuff was shaky. Like uh, I think it's like Allison and her friends or something. There's like a close up shot of their faces, and it's like the camera's kind of like moving as they're talking and stuff.
Hmm.
I think if they would have set up the shot a little bit better, it probably would have looked better on screen. But I mean, that's not a complaint. That's just nitpicking more so.
Yeah. Like I said, just a lot of the stuff that I don't like is kind of nitpicking. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I guess we should get into spoilers at this point because um
Yeah.
there's so much more to talk about, but like we were talking about, like we would need to get into full-blown spoilers. So for those of you
Mm-hmm.
watching, if you haven't seen the movie and don't want to be spoiled fully about everything, we've kind of kept it
Check.
vague. A lot of stuff you kind of just can pick up based on the trailers. But we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get into full-blown spoilers now. So yeah, I guess getting to full blown spoilers. And 3, 2, 1, last chance. Okay, you've been warned. We're now into spoiler territory for this live review. So, what should we talk about first?
All right. I guess the first thing I'd probably want to talk about when it comes to spoilers is the big twist about
Okay.
towards the end of it's probably the end of the second act, start of the third act kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It really like kind of changes the pace of the film to all out after that. Uh, the doctor, who we find out is the new Loomis kind of character, who's been
Mm-hmm.
taking care of Michael since Loomis passed, uh, he more so developed an obsession with Michael.
Mm-hmm.
He's wanting to know why he did the killings back in '78, why he is the way he is a pure evil, like Loomis always said. Which another cool thing is they got someone to come in and do a voice acting as Loomis, and it was very passable.
Oh, very good. Way better than H2O, where
Yeah,
it's like the guy, I'm like, that sounds nothing like Donald Pleasance. It's like,
I'm
I
pretty
met
sure
this
the guy in
6-year-old.
H2O. I could be wrong in this, but I think the guy in H2O is the voice of Loomis, the SpongeBob too.
Tom Kenny?
I could be wrong. It's a very
Hmm.
similar name if it isn't.
No, I'd have
But
to.
yeah, no, the guy that did the Loomis in this one, I don't know who it is, but it was way better.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely way
But
better.
yeah, he develops this obsession and he wants to learn everything about Myers. Oh, 1 second, dude.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like the doctor twist in the movie, it's one of those things where just this dude develops like a huge obsession with Michael Myers, and he's like, I like who Laurie obviously calls like the new Loomis, and at some point in the movie, like we find out that he's in essence like the reason Michael escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'll let you continue where you left off. So
Yeah, no, someone just came in and I didn't want to get it, cut off again. but
okay.
uh, but yeah, he develops his obsession with Michael over the years. He tries to learn everything he can about him and why he is the way he is. And one of the big things he wants to hear is Michael talk for himself. Like, why has he been mute for over 40 years? I guess 55 years if you include since he killed his first sister, Judith. And turns out that I'm pretty sure it was alluded to, but you don't actually get to. I don't think anyone actually says it in the film, but I'm pretty sure he's the one that caused the bus crash.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he's the only one like still hiding on the bus because he
Yeah,
wanted to
like
see Michael out in the open field.
yeah, and this is like I told you, I had a gripe with this kind of scene, the twist scene where the doctor turns out to kill the police officer, let Michael go, and put him in the car, and he wants to let Michael do his work on Halloween. My biggest issue with that is if he let Michael go in the van or the bus crash, Michael let him live.
Hmm.
Why did he kill him in the car halfway through the film if he's
I think
still
is
trying to help him?
yeah. I guess Michael is probably just like, well, fuck you too, dude, because he
Yeah,
can.
I get it, but like, why? He was the only one he left living at the bus.
Yeah, he or and then that leads to one of my other favorite parts of the movie. Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Yeah, the little kid shoots him. See, I would have been fine with it. If he died on the bus, it wouldn't have changed the film at all. They could have still hit him with the car. He could have popped up and killed the police officer, and I don't know, knocked Allison out and or got Allison to show him where to go or something. Which is another thing I had a problem with. How did Michael know where Lori lived?
Hey, like, how did? Well, I mean, maybe he found out somehow. No, no, because he didn't know. He didn't go to Laurie's place originally. That's he was driven there. If you remember in the film.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. But he knew. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He stopped the car because she said, "I know what he said." Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm wrong.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
that
more sense
twist. And
now.
at first, I'm like, is he going to become the new Michael Myers in the middle of the movie? Because
Yeah, that was weird.
he kills Will Patton's character like at some
Mm-hmm.
point in the movie, and I'm like, the hell is going on here? Like, we is it Friday the 13th Part 5 right now with the copycat killer?
I actually
The,
like Will Patton in this. He was actually a pretty good character.
yeah, like it should have been more of a focus. Like I said, the side characters they're just kind of just hit or miss. I liked Will
Mm-hmm.
Patton. I think it should have been more of him and Jamie Lee Curtis on screen. Judy Greer was fine too. Like the way she kind of plays with at the end where she's just like, I can't
Yeah,
do it, I can't do it. It's like, gotcha.
yeah, that was cool.
Hmm.
I also feel like Michael wouldn't have fallen for that.
Well, I mean, maybe
You
he
know.
did. I mean, because Michael, like I said, he's not impossible to outwit.
Mm-hmm. He's not superhuman like a lot of people think he is. He's just a
He's running on
psychopath.
adrenaline, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
it just
much. I
kind of
mean, people
is.
do pretty crazy stuff on adrenaline.
Hmm. The Return of the Thorn Cult XD. Oh yeah. Oh man, I kind of wish the Doctor instead of this dude was Dr. Terrence Wynn.
Oh, jeez.
That would have been
Huh.
the funny thing about that is like I do have like an account. Like there's like this thing on Twitter with like the Halloween community accounts. I made like the Terrence Wynn account, and I've just been having a blast with it because like all the shit is just like praise be to Thorn, and then just being a complete obnoxious asshole.
That's pretty cool.
It's a ton of fun. Whoever like it started out like as like just like a Twitter community for like the Jaws characters, and then it just branched off into like Halloween 3, and then other Halloween characters, and like John Carpenter's The Thing, and American Werewolf in London. It's just formed this weird shared universe of characters of Twitter that like basically like role play, and it's hilarious. Even fucking Bucky the Electrician has a Twitter account from Halloween 4.
Wow.
It's
Who's there?
amazing.
Oh, funny games.
Mhm. But I think it would have been
Yeah,
great if
no.
it was
I'll tell you
Doctor Wynn.
another thing I kind of had a problem with the movie, and these are my only two groups. That whole scene with the doctor like turning on the police officer and stuff. I just felt like didn't need to be there. And the other thing was that the little kid Julian's comedy, while it was gold and it got a lot of laughs in the crowd. I just felt that it took a lot of tension out. Like it was building up to this tension. You know, Dave went out to have a smoke. He's walking by the towels or the blankets and stuff out on the line. She's up there checking the room for the boogeyman, as the little kid said. You know, someone was standing in his room and stuff, and it was building up this great big tension. And then he goes out, and it's just like a bike out in the shed.
Mhm.
After saying like, "Oh my god," and it's like it pauses, it goes to another scene. He comes back to him, and he's just revving up a motorcycle.
Yeah, he's just like.
Like what was the point of it? Like I figured like okay, he turns on the motorcycle, he won't the motorcycle, he won't hear Michael killing her or the girl screaming, but he still hears it, and you know I was just like, what was the point of that?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, you've been called out in the comments section. Take off that Maple Leafs hat.
No, I'll take it off when they're not like first or second in the standings and kicking ass.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
Well,
yeah, and
at least the Maple Leafs are doing okay. Are they doing okay, right?
oh yeah, they're like second in the league or something, first
Oh,
overall goals or something like that.
well, I mean, the season just started this past month, right?
Yeah, I mean they're only 8 games in, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, see, look at the comment section. You know what? Can you take over for a second? I'll be right back and just
Yeah,
talk. It's because I see a hockey war starting in the comment section, which means I have to jump right in. I'll be right back.
yeah. Sure, yeah, no, but the whole scene was the little kid. There's a kid in the movie named Julian, who's getting babysit by one of Allison's friends, and for some reason they just give him a lot of comedic one-liners. She's talking to Allison on the phone at the Halloween party, and she's babysitting. Obviously, she couldn't go, so she says, "Come back here, and we're gonna get on some Alakazam." And the kid right away he chirps up and he says, "I know you're not gonna smoke weed in my house." And it's just weird. Like who calls it Alakazam for one? Like it's not Pokemon. But yeah, and it continues on to the scene of her and him going back one-liners and stuff, and it continues on later in the film when the boogeyman is supposed to be up in his room. She goes up there and checks it, and as you can see from the trailer, there's a closet scene. Michael comes out of the closet, takes a swipe at her. She smacks him with a chair. As she's running away, the kid jumps out of the bed. He's like, "Oh shit, fuck this," and runs out of the bed. And I was like,
Okay.
"Okay, that's kind of funny." And then she runs out, slips on the floor, and as she's crawling to the rails of the staircase, the little kid comes back for some reason just to look, and she's like, "Help me!" And he's like, "Nope," and he runs downstairs. That whole scene did not need to be there, man. Like if she slipped, great. Michael grabs her, hauls her in. Like
And then
pointed
he
out,
comes right back.
yeah, he just comes back, and she's like, "Help me!" And he's like, "Nope." And then he runs away. Sees Dave, and he's like, "You go up there, you're a dead son of a bitch too." And it was just like all this, like it was just funny after joke after joke, and it just felt like it took away a lot of the tension of the scene itself because like you're laughing and you're not scared of Michael at this point.
hmm
Like up till the point where she was pushing on the closet. After that, if the kid was like, "Oh shit," and he's like ran away and you never got to see him again, perfect. But it just had he was like, "Oh shit," he was standing on the edge of his bed. She takes a chair. He's like, "Fuck this." He runs out. She runs out, slips, and he comes back up. No,
No, like
and then
that
he says
seemed.
that thing to Dave in passing. It made it too calm for you to really get invested and scared in that scene.
hmm
But
Yeah.
that's my only two gripes. The doctor kind of thing aspect, the new Loomis character, he was fine. Just the scene that happens with him, I wasn't a huge fan of. His death scene, getting his head squat, amazing.
Oh, that was so
Uh,
worth it. He's just like that twist threw me off so much. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
what the fuck is going on now? Like,
His reaction too, like I think I can't remember his exact words. Michael throws him to the ground after like beating the shit out of him, and
yeah,
he's
he's
just, "What did you do?" Or something like that, and he just like steps on his face. And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
that was
It
great.
was
Michael never speaks or anything, which is cool, which I do
no.
love.
I've seen a lot of people say that they blurred or kind of like hid his face a lot in the film, like without the mask on. And a
hmm
lot of people are having a problem with it, like, you're not supposed to show his face. I'm like, man, he shows his face in like every single Halloween movie.
Yeah, the first movie, he takes off his
What's the
mask.
big deal? Mm-hmm.
He
You
takes
see
off
him
his
as a
mask and
kid,
you see it.
and he's got
Yeah.
no mask on. You see him at the end of the film, he pulls the mask off.
hmm
Halloween 2, I think you don't see it at all. Yeah, well, no, you see him as a kid, and the explanation for being a sister. Halloween 4, he's got like the bandages and stuff on.
hmm
Halloween 5, he completely takes his mask off and cries.
Yeah, and you can see his face clearly. It's just an actor, no
Yeah.
burns or anything. Halloween
Uh,
6, that's just a clusterfuck of a movie. He's wearing the mask
yeah,
at all
his
times.
face in that too, but he's like back on and far away or whatever.
hmm
Uh, he doesn't show it in H2O. He doesn't show it in Resurrection, I don't think.
No,
But
he
I mean, it's
doesn't.
not taboo for him to show his face, and the fact that they kept it still hidden, like that, you got to see his eye, which I
They
really
they
thought was
they
cool because
they
like
Wilson home improved it.
mm-hmm, they kept hiding it and stuff like that. So anytime he didn't have the mask on, it was either blurred or hidden, and I was fine with it. And the fact he didn't speak and he kept being a mute. and they didn't break his character at all. Like he was still like Michael Myers. He still had that head tilt. He still walked like him, like killed like him. It was fine with me. The fact that he killed a kid in this movie too,
That was
bus crash,
hardcore.
that was cool.
That's the
I was
first
not
time I've seen
expecting.
him just straight up murder a kid.
Yeah, it's the first time in the series, I believe.
Yeah, because I was like, everyone just felt like uncomfortable, like, ooh, shit, they're going bold. And then like he had the chance to kill the baby at one point, but he still walked away. Like, okay, I think the
Yeah,
filmmakers knew like people would hate us completely if we just killed a baby.
like he just like walks up to it and kind of like stares at the baby, tilts his head, and then walks away. And I was like, that's cool. I guess he knows the baby's kind of innocent, so like, what's that gonna do?
Yeah, there's no thrill in
So,
killing. There's no thrill in it for him. It's
yeah,
just like it's too easy, maybe.
that's my point. Yeah, like the little kid was like panicking. He was hysterical, trying to get the car to start, and he just like grabs him. He's like, "No, kid, you ain't getting away."
Yeah,
That was cool. I like that.
oh, some of the deaths in this movie are great. When he kills the
Mm-hmm.
filmmakers, like that was straight up brutal. The guy hits him with a crowbar, and they're just like bam, 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 just smacking the guy's head
Yeah,
repeatedly. Reminded me a
he
bit
like
of.
gets dead in the neck with a crowbar, and he's just like looks up at him and just like, "Nope, not happening."
I was kind of bummed at the girl's death because I was kind of hoping he'd dunk her head in the toilet for like that nasty water, give her like a
It was
swirly to death in
hilarious.
like the shit water. I thought that would have been
That's crazy.
great. Like,
The death scene of Dave was pretty. It was made for comic relief too, which is also the babysitter scene.
mhm.
Like when you go upstairs and she's there. I can't remember her name for the life of me. The babysitter.
Vicky,
She's hidden under the blanket. You go downstairs, you see Dave pinned to the wall like Bob was,
Bob.
and he's got that little tattoo on his arm.
hmm
That was kind of cool. A little
Yeah,
nod
it said
to
like,
Dave and stuff.
what did it say, 10/31/18 or something?
I believe so.
Okay, so maybe something happens on 10/31/18. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I guess we could talk about the third act of the movie. Like I said, the side characters, a lot of them just kind of come and go. There is some funny stuff. The final thing with Laurie in her Home Alone house.
Mm-hmm.
Although Kevin McAllister would have probably done a better job prepping within like 2 days than Laurie Strode did in 40 years. So
And
the
Jinkies, yeah.
Yep. The final act of the movie, it's more of a slow suspense tension filled one as opposed to H2O where just like she gets the action, she snaps, she's tired of running and she's like ready to face them. And I love the final part with H2O. Like it's like an adrenaline rush. It's like kind of like a chase. She's basically like in desperation mode, just trying to fight this guy off the whole time. And I thought that was great. And this one is pretty good too. Although I think the H2O one's a bit more exciting. And like the way Michael meets his end in H2O is more exciting than this one. Although obviously Resurrection fucked that up because they got greedy.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, they kind of got greedy in this one too because technically Michael didn't die.
yeah, well, because they wanted to make sure that this one got well
Supposedly.
received. Yeah, this one they want to make sure got well received before they went ahead and made the sequel because they're going to shoot two back to back, and they're just like, okay, let's just wait and see how this one does. So they didn't leave it on a cliffhanger, which I'm very thankful for. They leave it just like if they wanted to end it there, they could. But we've already seen
Yeah.
Michael burn to death in like Halloween 2. This one we come to find out that Laurie has like this whole house set up as a big trap. That's why she was closing all the drawers in that. And then you see that her daughter Karen Strode, which is a character in Halloween 6, now that I think about it. Just saying. But anyways, so we see that. Yeah. So we see Michael gets locked down in the cellar, and then they push a button, like she pushes like some levers in that, and basically locks him in. And it come to find out that she turns on the gas, like it was just a trap the whole time. So yeah, I thought the final stuff with her and Michael was pretty good. I love the part where she blows off his fingers, and it's like it still doesn't phase him. I'm like, Jesus, does this guy lose all his pain receptors or something? Like he's just running on pure instinct and adrenaline.
If I'm not mistaken, when he gets shot in the fingers, he does let out a grunt.
Maybe he does. I don't know, because like the theater was kind of going crazy when I went. Just everyone was like, "Ah,
Yeah, it was kind of cool too. Like you see him out on the lawn, and he's just after killing Karen's husband. Laurie sees him out there, tells Karen to get downstairs. He looks back out the window and he's not there. And all of a sudden, the two hands come in around the glass, grab her face, and just start beating it off the door, man, choking her. I was like, shit, she might die here.
Yeah, I was feeling something too because like there's other shots. I was just like, oh shit, Laurie, how is she gonna like get out of it? She blows off his fingers, and it's like, oh shit, that was cool. I really like that part. And she basically like the ending of the movie. They just they engulf the house in flames, and then they all hug it out, and then they just kind of drive off to safety.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that death did not feel definitive at all for me.
There's a huge nod at the end of the film too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you picked up on it or not, but in the original Halloween, Laurie, every time she stabbed Michael with a clothes hanger or a knife or a sewing needle, she always dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, they blatantly put a scene in where Michael's grabbing hold of Karen and Laurie and Allison are trying to pull her out. Allison realizes there's a knife next door, belonging to Michael, grabs it and stabs him a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And that frees up Karen to get out, and then they trap him in with the bolts going across the floor. As they get into the back of the truck and drive away, did you notice the camera freezes on her hand and she's still holding a knife?
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought it was just like
Yeah.
I didn't catch
Laurie
that.
or Jamie Lee Curtis had a huge problem shooting original Halloween because she liked the character Laurie Strode, but she hated the fact that she kept dropping the knife, and it was like stupid. Like, why would you keep dropping it? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that David Gordon Green realized this, and then it's almost like he's passing the torch to Allison for, I guess, if they go plan on doing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely going to be more center stage than Laurie will in the coming sequels.
Yeah, like let's hope they don't Han Solo Laurie right away. I know they're gonna do another movie. I hope the same creative
Yeah, it's
team.
inevitable at this point. If they hit the $80 to $100 million in the first 3 days, and numbers are solid through the second
It
and
had
third
the
week.
biggest Friday in October history.
Mm-hmm.
So if this movie will make 100 million worldwide for sure, which is crazy to think about. But like a Halloween movie doing like 80+ million in opening weekend is unheard of. That is like
Yeah.
Halloween in its entire run made like 50 something $million.
I can remember like early on, and not early on, but really close to the premiere. A lot of people were complaining there was enough promotional material coming out for this movie, like leading up to the hype and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't realize promotional material is a huge part of like budgets for like Avengers and The Dark Knight and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, huge chunk of that budget goes to promoting the film. If you look, if you look up the inflation for the first film that would have shot nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost the exact same as what this film was made for.
Yeah, like
So, I mean,
box
they're
office
playing
mojo has
minimal budget here too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like this one. Let's look at the slasher films. Like the highest-grossing slasher movie, the top three are Scream 1, 2, and 3, and then Freddy vs. Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like the first Scream is the only, and Scream 1 and 2 are the only ones to make $100 million at the box office. Scream 3 is shortly behind in like 89 million, and then Scream 4 is like way down the list because unfortunately people didn't connect with Scream 4, even though I like Scream 4 more than 3. So if we look at like,
was it Elm Street remake or Scream 4 came out around the same time as Train Your Dragon or How to Train Your Dragon 1 or 2?
That would be Elm Street because that came out in 2010. I know because that's how we in essence like went to Epic Horror Fans from there.
Yeah, that's how I found about Danny and you guys from the
remake. So,
yeah, I can remember like it depends on what movie comes out against a horror movie too. If it's something for kids or a big budget like superhero film, your movie's not going to do nearly as good.
Mm-hmm.
But just nothing out in October. Like First Man just came out like last week and isn't a very big box office success. I'm pretty sure it flopped.
Yeah.
Box office wise, reviews wise, it did really good. Box office is not doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Venom beat it. It's like Venom's second week beat First Man's first week, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so if this can beat Venom and First Man in its opening weekend, well, not like money wise, but you know how it can overtake those two movies. It should do fine up until like mid-November.
No, this one. Well, you got to look at horror movies now. Like ever since, I want to give credit to like James Wan for this recent resurgence in horror movies because it's like, I mean,
yeah,
this dude, like he, just think about all the stuff that he's done. Obviously, we had It, which was a huge monster hit. The first horror, I called it when the movie was coming out. I'm like, you watch, this is gonna be the first horror movie to make $100 million in an opening weekend. Mm-hmm. It's gonna break all sorts of records, and people called me crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, it's going to do it, and it was a monster hit. Like that thing, just like
I mean, it had the highest views of a trailer. It beat like Fast and the Furious 7, Beauty and the Beast. It beat all those. Like
people love killer clowns.
That's told you there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it was a monster hit.
It came out around the same time as I remember last year and the year before. There was a big thing about clowns going around killing people or stalking people in the woods and stuff.
Oh yeah, that clown craze. And then it just made
it came out at a good point.
Mm-hmm. But like obviously it wasn't the studio because they get sued ridiculously if they were for that. But yeah, like it was a huge monster hit, and it's a great movie. I mean, I've watched it a bunch of times, and like that's like my favorite Stephen King story. But like I was always like had like this big obsession with like the miniseries when I was younger. Like the first half is really good. The second half of the adults not so much. Only thing that salvages it really is Tim Curry. But yeah, like horror has made a huge resurgence. I feel like the Conjuring universe kind of like really restarted this resurgence. Like in what was it, 2013 or?
Insidious 1 came out in 2010, I believe. 2012, Conjuring, and Insidious 2 came out, I would think.
Yeah, so like, because like I know, like we had that phase where it was just like the torture porn genre, as it called. Then we had the found footage phase for a long time, and then that pretty much died out because people got so sick of it. And then I feel like The Conjuring was like the start of like this new resurgence in like horror films, because like it made bank and had huge like multiples, and it started the Conjuring universe, which is the highest grossing horror series of all time. That is a $1 billion franchise off of not a lot of money.
Like if you think about like a 3 Insidious film, they don't really count. But if you add the 3 or 4 Insidious films on top of that, man, $1.5 billion franchise. It's nuts. Like,
look at this franchise series, Insidious. Even The Last Key, dang, The Last Key even made a ton of money. Like it came out
and like, made for nothing too, right?
Yeah. So the movies combined together grossed like $540 million out of the 4 movies, which is a crazy amount. Like horror is just like the return on investment with horror movies is just insane now. But yeah, Insidious,
scary and you're fine.
Yeah, they've obviously been doing a lot better than where they were before. But yeah, like Insidious just made bank, and like I said, I think it was The Conjuring that really started this resurgence. The Conjuring universe has just been a massive, massive success for horror. So let me take a look at the Conjuring series, because they've done 5 movies. This franchise has grossed $1.5 billion worldwide. Holy shit! Like just think of this.
Including the Insidious films from Wand and Lee Winnell, who are huge parts of the Conjuring series. It's like $2 billion.
Yeah, it's over $2 billion. Those 2 things, and it's just insane to see. And then obviously, Chapter 1 made bank. Chapter 2 is going to have a huge opening. It'll have a bigger opening than the original, but it won't have as much staying power.
Got a lot of good names too, from Chastain to McAvoy. It's going to put asses in the seats for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I can't wait for that second movie, because like that's the one I'm most nervous about, because the stuff with the kids is a lot easier to do. The stuff with the adults, it's a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this you're gonna see after Halloween. Obviously we both really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, I don't know if it's my favorite of the sequels, but like the more I talk about it, the more I like about it. Some other gripes I do have with it, there are some pacing issues. Like I think the first chunk of it is kind of slow and maybe a little bit boring at parts, when it's not focused on like Jamie Lee Curtis. When we're focusing on like these high school kids, I'm like, we're just like, I don't really care.
I wanted more of Alison Strode.
Yeah, like she was kind of.
I guess she wouldn't be Strode, but yeah, I wanted more of Alison's character. Andy Matichak, the girl who plays her, did a great job. There's no doubt about it. But her and her friends, it's the same thing with Rob Zombie's remake. It didn't focus on Laurie and Linda and Annie enough. It focused like an hour, was like focused on like the uprising of Michael. Then you got like 40 minutes to learn these characters, and then one of them dies within like 10 minutes of meeting them. Like, it's kind of the same thing here. Like you get to know her boyfriend and her 2 friends, Dave and the babysitter chick. And the babysitter was fleshed out pretty good. Dave was kind of there just to be like a pothead stoner boyfriend. Her boyfriend was there for 3 scenes, I think, tops. And one of them was like less than 30 seconds. And there was the dance thing, which might have been on screen time. Might have been like 30 seconds as well.
Yeah, the dancing, I'm like, okay.
And his friend, I can't remember his name. The guy that dies later in the film from Michael and with the motion sensor lights. They're just kind of there to die, and I'm okay with it. But I definitely wanted more of Allison's character built up.
Oscar was his name, Oscar, because he was trying to put the moves on her, and he was telling like that funny scene with Michael. He's like, "Hey, bro, what was it, Mr. Elrod?" Which was a nice
Mr. Elrod, yeah. Call back to Halloween too.
Yeah, lots of nice nice callbacks to some of the older films.
One line Laurie says in the film, not one person I talked to so far picked up on it, but when they're interviewing her at her house at the start of the film, they ask her, like, Michael's going to prison at 7 o'clock p.m. And her reply was, "That's the point." When they say it's going to be like that's the plan, sorry, like when he's going to be locked away forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's a callback to the very first like scene with Loomis in the car. She's talking about like Thorazine or something like that, and she's like, "Sure,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna be able to move if you put him on that." And he's like, "That's the plan, or that's the point."
Mm-hmm.
That's a callback to Loomis, and a lot of people I've talked to so far haven't picked up on that one.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like one of those things where like it could be a callback or maybe not necessarily. Some people would pick it up because they're just like, well, it's just kind of like it just kind of makes sense what they're just saying. Like there's some that are obvious callbacks, like the scene where Allison Allison is just in her classroom and she looks out the window and it's Laurie standing there. So,
yeah. There's a lot of those little like certain nods and stuff, like the two kids that bang into Michael Myers before he starts that long take.
Yep, that's the first movie.
Pirate, and the other guy is dressed as a. Oh man, I can't even remember what he's dressed as now. Yeah, the kid that's dressed as the pirate is the guy that has the razor blade in his mouth in Halloween 2 with the apple. The other kid is he's got like a boombox or something. He's dressed up, which is Dick Warlock's son in the Halloween 2. He walks down and bangs into Michael as he walks by. It's the same musical cue that hits when two of them walks into each other.
Yeah, this movie is obviously made by huge fans, and this is going to be the resurgence in the slasher movies.
If this blows up, we'll find out, I guess, probably Monday or late tomorrow night, money-wise. If this blows up and does really well and has like at least one good week held over, so it makes more than like 100 million. It's going to get a sequel. I'm 100% sure of that because of the ending. And I got a funny feeling once Friday the 13th gets out of his legal wars or Elm Street or something like that gets out
I hate this legal stuff. It cost us the game. Like it literally cost us from getting more content of this magnificent, fun online game, and because of this nonsense, it's basically just a huge dick measuring contest between Victor Miller and Sean S. Cunningham, and it's really pissing me off at this point. I'm like, why do we not have a new Jason movie? I'm like, there's so many great ideas. They could just do the I almost want to say Tommy Jarvis route. I'm just in Halloween mode. I've just been watching the movies and trying to get them done and stuff.
Yeah. But I think if this movie does well, you're going to see a lot more slashers come back. I think,
which I'm excited for.
Depending on who takes them, if New Line or something like that still got the rights to like Elm Street or something, they're just going to force feed us another Elm Street remake that we got in 2010 just for the sake of getting some money. Like cash-ins and stuff. You're going to have a lot of people cashing in on the opportunity if Halloween does good. But if Blumhouse can get the rights to Friday the 13th like he wants, I think he'll have another good movie there too.
Well, we need more than any of these reboots. We need a proper Hellraiser film. We've had so many terrible, shitty Hellraiser films for so long, and it's made me so infuriated because we're basically 2 out of 10 on that series. Like maybe one really good one with the first one. I like Hellraiser. We are at the it's so bottom of the barrel. They need some because you got all these like really like art house type filmmakers that like are doing some of these horror movies.
I think the thing about the Hellraiser, like the first like 2 or 3 films are actually really good, but it doesn't carry enough weight on its name alone to like give you like a good studio behind it. After all these like crappy direct-to-DVD movies have come out over the course of the thing, and I'm pretty sure the only reason why those movies come out is because the company that owns it is trying to keep the rights to it.
Yeah, like if you're not gonna
put out a crap movie to make some quick bucks and keep the franchise going under their banner.
Yeah, that's a franchise that needs a reboot more than any other horror franchise out there. Because Halloween's kind of like a reboot, a soft reboot continuation, much like when Toho did Return to Godzilla, and
it's in the vein of a lot of like Hollywood films right now. I mean, The Force Awakens is a soft reboot of A New Hope. Creed is a soft reboot of Rocky.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World was a soft reboot of Jurassic Park. We're getting a lot of these directors and stuff that want to take a shot at bringing back the old characters, but bringing us new characters in the same time, but keeping it like original idea intact.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of what Halloween is here too. There's a
Yeah,
lot of similarities to the first one with this one.
you
Uh,
mark my words. We are going to see a resurgence in slasher movies because of this film, which I'm
I
looking
think
forward
so.
to.
Yeah.
I miss kind of the slasher movies. Slasher movies were fun. We like, I mean, they're easier to make, but I just meant like the big franchises. You like
Hmm.
Freddy Krueger. Well, Robert
The
Englund is really
2020s are going to be all horror slashers.
the what?
Like the years of 2020. Like you're going to have it now next year, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
9 chance out of 10, if this does good, they're going to start and probably push production because they already got the idea of Halloween 2. They probably already wrote the Halloween sequel already.
Yeah,
So
because they had the
2019,
idea of
2020, you're going to get that. You're going to probably get an Elm Street. Friday the 13th is just a matter of time. It's just legal rights.
somebody needs to
Uh,
just shell out some money and be like, all right, settled, done. Now shut up. Get
mm-hmm.
us this Jason movie. Because like I think they need something where it's just like kind of like the quality of this, where they have like a real emotional core to some of these movies, like to really make them like stand out, not just as your typical like slasher films. They need to get some really good quality filmmakers behind these things to really push the series in like an envelope. Because I think like a dark Friday the 13th film, like with some emotion behind it, maybe with Tommy Jarvis, who just kind of similar to what they were doing with Laurie in this one. I always thought would be like a great idea for a Friday the 13th film,
Mm-hmm.
and like with some quality and good acting, not just your typical like shithead type teen horror characters, just some like actual people. I mean, some fans would be upset because Friday the 13th is more about like having a bit of fun, but I think the series could use a little bit more of a serious like overhaul with some like actual like emotion behind it, to where like the audience is invested, to where like they may even start like crying in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had some ideas of what they could do, but I obviously I'm not the one making the movies, but I think there's a lot of good stuff you can do. And I've noticed that I heard that Jordan Peele is going to make a remake of Candyman as well. So
Yeah,
that's
he's doing Twilight Zone for this spring, I believe, isn't he?
yeah, it's for like CBS All Access, but I don't have any interest in CBS All Access.
Yeah, the only thing they got is like Star Trek Discovery, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think most Star Trek fans hate Star Trek Discovery from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, but no, I can't talk much longer. But I was giving my final thoughts, I guess.
yeah, we're about to hit like the hour mark anyways, which is perfect because
Really, I didn't even notice.
yeah, if you look at the time going back, it's like 56 minutes. But like, yeah, we just
Wow.
this works out because I'm like, this is just a kind of way, because I think I'll eventually do a written review on this movie, but
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna give my own review eventually. I'm just trying. I want to see it the second time to really let it sink in. Because
mhm.
right now I'm debating on if it's my second favorite or third favorite. It definitely blows a lot of the sequels away, but Halloween 4 is my second favorite. Has been since I seen it back in like 2009, I
I've always
think.
liked
First
Halloween
time I
4.
seen
I
it.
feel like that one is like, I mean, obviously a lot of fans really like Halloween 4. I feel like that movie, like people are like, oh, just a typical, like, no, there's a lot of good stuff in Halloween 4.
Mm-hmm. The opening
Especially,
scene alone really sets the tone for the film. I mean, a lot of Halloween films don't get that right.
mhm.
Like you don't see a lot of trick or treaters running around. You don't see decorations or people going door to door kind of thing. You don't get that Halloween essence from it. Hates to Out is one of those ones that you don't feel. It doesn't feel like Halloween. It just feels like any random night.
Yeah, it feels a bit like it's like a Scream Halloween fusion.
Same with the Resurrection. You don't feel like it's like a Halloween film.
That's true.
Halloween 6 does a good job of it. I will say.
One of
Like
the
you
few
got your trick or
things you can
treaters. You got
say.
that big party in the field with I can't remember his name now for the life of me. Uh, Halloween 5 does not get it right at all. I know they got that farmhouse party scene, but like there's no build up to it. There's no one talking about like trick or treating or nothing. There's just like,
Just a bunch of
oh, there's a costume contest at the mental institution for kids, and then there's a party out in the woods for some reason.
yeah. Oh, speaking of like we were talking about like opening setup sequences, I do appreciate the credits back for this one. Opening crawl credits with the pumpkin, kind
Yeah,
of like that
pumpkin
would
coming back to life.
yeah, because that's like the franchise, because it's like how it kind of was at like bottom of the barrel and just kind of
Yeah, it was
resurgence.
dead and now it's coming back.
I thought that was perfect, but like I do
Like
have
they even had mold at the bottom of the pumpkin slowly disappearing.
yeah, and it even had like the
It's so
slasher, like
cool.
the butcher knife inside of the pumpkin's nose. If you caught that, like if you look at like the design,
Hmm.
it looks like a butcher knife. I'm like, that is pitch perfect, and the music
Yeah.
was awesome. John Carpenter's
Yeah.
score was great, and I thought like, yeah, this is what I'm digging this. But although I do have an issue, I don't really get why they called it Halloween. It's the same title, but it's a sequel.
Yeah.
Somebody
Like
said that they should have just called it like Michael Myers, kind of like how they did Logan. That would have actually been kind of cool. Like I think.
I think the only reason why they stuck with the name Halloween is because it sells. The name of Halloween alone, people are going to say like, "Oh, well, that's a huge horror film from the '70s. It's a big horror film from the '80s. Rob Zombie made it. Rob Zombie sold the name of Halloween alone when his film came out in 2007. If you
Mhm.
change it to Michael Myers, I think it's going to get lost in the shuffle of films because some people are going to be like, Michael Myers, isn't that the guy that does Austin Powers?
No, that's Mike Myers. There's a big difference.
Yeah, but I mean, like some people when you bring it up, like who don't know what Halloween is, are going to be like, I've got friends and I'll say like Michael Myers and be like, isn't that the guy that plays Austin Powers? Just kind of happens. Like I know it's not like going to happen to everyone, but this I think the name Halloween is what sells it.
Mm-hmm.
So, well,
Speaking
I
of Mike
mean,
Myers, we need another
it
Austin Powers
definitely
movie.
definitely does sell it. Like, I mean, what's his name? Yablans back in the producer back in the '70s approached Carpenter and when it was called the Babysitter Murder, he's like, not going to sell. You put it, you change it to Halloween and set it in Halloween, it's going to sell. And
Hmm.
obviously, here we are 40 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought a good title
Um,
would have been Halloween Resurgence or something like that.
if they had like something else after it, or even just like Halloween
Halloween.
40 or something, just something different. But you know, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I think. Do you have a final like numbered grade? I don't necessarily do ratings unless I'm like live streaming on someone else's channel. I just
Yeah,
typically
no,
say,
I definitely got a review or a number in my head. As of right now, after my first viewing, I'd give it a solid 8.5. I have two very small gripes with the film: the doctor scene and the comedic timing on the little kid scene, the babysitter.
mm-hmm,
But other than that, I had no problem with it. I had a lot of little nostalgia factors that if you're a big nerd like myself or you or someone will pick up on them, and I appreciate it. Like that, like a casual fan, will go in and they'll hear it like the line like that's the plan or you're the new Loomis or something like that. The casual viewer is going to go in and it's just going to go over their head, but it's still like there. It's subtle
mm-hmm.
that they're not going to say like, "What the hell does that mean?" Like, it's just it is what it is kind of thing. Like the three kids, to just kind of in the scene for like a split second, they run past, they got the trick or treat, silver shamrock mask on and stuff. It's
Oh, I
just
love
stuff
it.
put in there like that for us, like the gas station that the podcasters are to is designed exactly the way that the Halloween 4 gas station is.
Yeah,
He
I noticed
drives up
that too.
the car that he drives up in, Michael Myers drives up in, is like a almost like an old Ford Bronco kind of thing, which
Mm-hmm.
is almost identical shape and look as the car that pulls up to the washrooms in Halloween H2O.
That's true. Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm like, hey, that's the
Yeah.
H2O car. So many little nods because this is. I love the fact that like some hardcore fans took over this thing. They're like, let's do something. Let's put this back. And reviews have been really solid for it. Audience reactions was pretty positive. Like at the screening I went
Mm-hmm.
to. Um, and the money is just coming in. I'm like, oh yes, Michael Myers is back.
Yeah,
Maybe
he's
top
definitely
Venom.
back.
We'll see. I
Yeah,
thought the
I'd
movie.
what's that?
Oh, I said I thought the movie would make at least $75 million, and it looks like it's going to top my estimates. And it could branch out to 100 if word of mouth is really strong, which so far it's been pretty positive. So I would love for the
Yeah,
movie to just crack the $100 million mark. Just kind of just like because like no October movie has ever made $100 million opening weekend.
I think no October movie's ever made over 80 million, isn't it?
Venom was the first
Or
one to make
81
80
or something.
million. So Venom has the highest
Yeah,
grossing opening weekend in October history with $80 million. This one could potentially top Venom. I think it will top Venom at this point because
I'd be pretty happy with Venom.
yeah, I mean Venom. Like I said, outside of Tom Hardy, I thought the rest of the movie was terrible. But Tom Hardy was so
Mm.
good, and Venom was so good in that movie. It's such a weird thing. It's just like the thing that it needed to get right, it got right so well, but everything else was just so bad
Go
in that
flat.
movie. But like it's worth watching just for Tom Hardy alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Nick Cage and Vampire's Kiss or The Wicker
Hmm.
Man. It's just like one of those things where it's just like they're so great in this thing that like I can give it a pass just for that.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, my final rating, I don't necessarily give final letter grades, but I liked it. I'd say it's worth checking out. That's really all I can do. Is just it's worth checking out. I'm glad the
Mm-hmm.
Halloween franchise is back. This is the first one I ever saw in theaters because obviously I was very young and I couldn't like get into the theaters
Mm-hmm.
unless somebody took me. So I'm very glad that Halloween is back. it's just cool to see a slasher film because we have not gotten that in so long. It feels like, not talking about like straight to video stuff. Like I think Wrong Turn still does their sequels.
Like, I think they're rebooting that now too. On top of that, like I don't want to see that.
Yeah. It's good to see the big three back. One of the big three, because it's Michael, Jason, Freddy, and Freddy and Jason. Like maybe we'll see a crossover one day. I think the idea of like, I think a cool idea to incorporate a crossover is to have kind of like, you know how in Suicide Squad, the movie, this is off topic, but they had like the Bell Rev prison or like an Arkham Asylum type deal where they take all these people. Glass is kind of like, the Glass movie is kind of doing this where they like something kind of like that, where you take the worst of the worst and throw them in there, because they reference a prison in the new movie where I'm like, oh, if you can get that, maybe you can put Jason Voorhees there, maybe Freddy Krueger gets pulled out of the dream world, you put him there, and maybe some like even like you can incorporate the Hellraiser series, just something like that. That's how you get them all to the same location. You don't find some weird way. You have someone who brings them to it to kind of keep them in check there, where like maybe like Jason, I think the final shot in the movie or something like that would be like Michael's just walking down, like he's in chains, and you look in like, it kind of like in Batman the Animated Series, is a shot where like they have like all the different rogues gallery just inside the cells, like you can just see kind of like the clear like glass behind them. You can just kind of see one of them like taking handcuffs. You just walk past and you see all these different slasher villains in there. Just a final shot like that would be fucking amazing. That's how you incorporate them all in like a shared universe type deal, as opposed to having them like, because Freddy vs. Jason, like they took a long time to get that one right. And I think outside of the human characters, like the fight scenes in that, like it's great. But
the Freddy and Jason part was the best part of that movie.
Oh, like I mean, the fight scenes were so good. Like because Ronnie Hughes can do action, I guess. So, but yeah. But anyways, I think that's gonna wrap it up. We've talked for just like an hour and 5 hours, 6 minutes. But I think this was good. This is a good thing. Got a little bit of interaction in the comment section, and we got our thoughts across about the new Halloween movie. And this saves me from having to take so much time to write another review, because I'm just I'm burnt out from doing those three in a row. So I don't know what I'm going to do next. It's kind of nice. Well, I do have like one or two other things on the horizon, but I got to get some other stuff done first. I might possibly do some of the Rocky movies. I think I might just do after the movie on Rocky and just save me the trouble of having to like write a review on each of them. So, but yeah, you got anything you want to plug for your channel or anything?
No, I'm definitely going to get a review out soon. I've been away from my channel for a couple months now. I haven't really put anything out, but there's definitely going to be a review for Halloween, and then I don't know if I'm going to come back full time, but I'll definitely do sporadic reviews here and there.
Yes, for me, like I'm trying to like stay a little bit consistent. I try and do at least 1 or 2 videos a week, even if they're like kind of meaningless ones where it's just me eating cake. Just want to have something out there. Oh yeah, the cake ones, because they're started as an inside joke where in the 2014 Godzilla, where he's like, "Daddy's home, cake every night," and like it became like a running gag with myself and a couple of other channels. So and yeah, I've done that. And I've appeared on other channels for like live streams and stuff. Like I started really doing live streams like this past year, and they're a lot of fun to do. So this is better than me just talking like in the camera myself, because you can have someone to bounce off of, and especially with like the hangout session, because we can just like talk back and forth. It's like I'm just facing you and I can see the comment section and such. So, but yeah, for those of you watching, please subscribe to AJPUNK15's channel. He's got some good stuff out there. He's got more stuff coming, and go check out the new Halloween film. It's pretty good, and it's good to see slasher films back. I guarantee this is going to start the resurgence of slasher movies. Mark my words, in the next 3 years, you will see Jason back, you will see Freddy back, you will probably see Pinhead back. Texas Chainsaw, that one's pretty much dead and done for right now. I don't see it coming back because they've already done like so many different versions of it, and it's just not to the popular. Yeah, it's nowhere near as popular as the other ones. Hellraiser could do it if they did a straight up reboot, and maybe cast someone like Tom Hardy as Pinhead. Just you get some money. A little bit of money, maybe like 40 million is like the max budget I'd say to go with that one, because you get like a real like artistic vision behind it, like maybe like a Denis Villeneuve from Blade Runner to do something like that. Or who's the guy who did Annihilation?
Shit, I can't remember his name.
But like like someone who's willing to do a little bit more like crazy art house type movie, and you get maybe one big name behind it. You can do something successful with Hellraiser in that, and I think you will see another I Know What You Did Last Summer with Jennifer Love Hewitt. Jesus, I can't even think right now.
It seems to be going that way. You definitely might see that, yeah.
So, But yes, subscribe to AJPUNK15's channel. Comment, like, subscribe to my channel if you're watching this out of just whatever random thing you clicked on. And yeah, I got more stuff coming out eventually. Just gonna take a breather. I'm glad I got this one done. I'm glad AJPUNK15 is here with me so we can talk about it. It was a lot of fun to do. So thank you so much, AJPUNK15. It was good to have you on. And
thanks, man.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Take care now. Bye-bye then.